go from the team that's old and can't play to the best team in baseball that everyone still doubts. And this is asked by our boy Darius. Darius, yes, they average of their position players the highest average of age at 30.6 years. You know how they did it? They're smarter than us.
Everybody.
They platoon. They pitch. They play defense. Their bullpen, like we said before, is locked down. And beyond all that, this team plays together. They play loose. It's obvious that they have full trust in their manager. They have full trust in their front office. This seems like a team that is playing with nothing to lose, and that is so dangerous.
And they've got guys that have been there, man. Like,
yep.
They've got guys that have been part of a
Hall
dynasty.
of Famers on the roster.
Yeah, and part of a dynasty, right? You got Crawford, who was there for all of it, for some of the best stretches we've seen
winners
in the modern era. You've got Posey, you've got Belt. All of these guys were there. And then you even got like guys like Johnny Cueto, who's been there in other situations as well. And he was a contributor for them during the regular season. I know he was banged up, but you look at his numbers, you're like, wait, Johnny Cueto did that this year? Like, he was a really solid back end guy for them. It was top to bottom. It was a whole concerted effort from the whole team. But I think you talk about the platooning, and that was the big thing because they're so old, and so old at 30 years old.
Yeah.
How are they able to really dominate and get the most out of their players, get the most bang for their buck, if you will? And it's the platooning, like you said, but to take it a step further, most teams I feel like are only looking for 8 position players in their pitcher, or, the 9th, the DH. And then you're like looking for bench guys. The Giants were like, no, we're going to get 11 guys that are like starter caliber. They might have a little bit of a hole in their game, and we're going to put them in situations for success, like Darren Ruff, like Lamont Wade, like these other guys. And you look at the numbers, it's exactly what they did. They have basically 15 different Giants had at least 200 plate appearances. 15 different Giants had 200 plate appearances. Only 2 had more than 500 plate appearances. So everybody was fresh, but they were going to 15 different dudes. Like, they had a level of everybody contributing, but also keeping guys fresh that I think is just an unbelievable combination. And you speak now while I plug my charger in because my phone, my computer's getting low.
Well, first, I want to talk about there is nobody on their team. And to speak to your last point, there is nobody on their team who's bad. Everyone around the diamond, you'll go through their pitching staff. Kevin Gausman, Logan Webb, Desclafani, Cueto, Alex Wood. Name me a bad starter. You go to their bullpen. Duvall, Leone, McGee, Rogers. Show me a bad reliever. You go all over the infield. There's no bad players. You can make the argument, I guess, that like Evan Longoria was their worst, I guess.
He was great
for only home run. And then I'm just also thinking it's like Giants. The platoon of Tommy La Stella and Donovan Solano, just picking apart the right matchups, lefties, righties, putting them in positions to succeed. Then you got the Darren Ruffs of the world. Nobody on the team is bad. Everyone is above average. And that's what I saw in the Rays as well. But what separates the Giants and the Rays is the Giants have been there and the Rays have not. And maybe the experience of the Giants and that old thing that you're talking about is actually what gave them the advantage over the young and inexperienced Rays. Not to saying they've faced each other, but just in terms of we're projecting what these teams might look like. And you might say, okay, the Rays got taken out. Let's say the Giants could still lose this series, but they're facing the goddamn Dodgers. You put them against the Brewers or the Braves, they're winning that. I could make the argument they'd beat every single other team besides the Dodgers if they were to lose, and they still might win.
They did it all year, right? Like, and I know the postseason's a different beast, but they've shown already that they're built for the postseason. I think we've already seen enough to believe that they are built for the postseason, even if they drop the next 2. Like, they took the Dodgers to the brink, and I still think that they can easily win this series. And obviously they have the leg up right now, even as we're talking, even though they're losing game 4, they're still in a position of success, and they've got the Dodgers. Would you be
surprised if the Giants came back and won this game tonight?
Not at all, not at all. And they forced the Dodgers to go to Buehler on short rest. But the one thing I'll say too about what the Giants have been able to do, and I think what's so impressive about it, and the difference between them and the Rays is the experienced guys on the Rays are, and not to slight them, I mean, he was fantastic and came up in big spots, but the veteran on the Rays is Kevin Kiermaier and Mike Zunino. And those are their veteran guys. Maybe I'm missing somebody. Your veterans on the Giants are Buster Posey, future Hall of Famer. It's champion Brandon Belt, like I said, and champion Brandon Crawford. Like those are your vets there, not to mention some of the other guys. So that's where I see it. It's just the combination of experience and guys that are just, coming up and just starting to break through is awesome. And they're just the perfectly constructed roster.
The veteran you were didn't mention was Nelson Cruz, who,
of course.
I mean, he hit 176 in the series.
He was really disappointing.
And when has he ever won anything? Remember when on the Twins just getting washed?
Yeah. And not to call him Bill Buckner, but that Rangers ordeal was not great. Not great losing that World Series, but he disappointed me. He was a big get for them. I was really excited about that acquisition. You thought he would be a big piece for them there, and he really was not a factor in this series whatsoever. I almost forgot he was there.
I'm looking at the box score, like freaking Wander Franco hit 368 in the series.